Hello, welcome to Andrew's Repair Shop. Today I'm going to do a how-to. Today we're going to show you how to replace a screen. What is this? A Dell Inspiron N5050. I'm pretty sure the other models like this will be fairly the same. We're going to hopefully, also we'll be sure to remove the battery. We're going to be hopefully successfully swapping it from this Acer something or other. Because this one has a failed processor, AMD, whatever that is, it's not working correctly. So we're hopefully going to be able to pull it out of that. First thing we want to do though is make sure that we can pull this out. You can see where the break is even without the screen on. So I've got a pry tool here. This, as far as this model goes, the bezel just unclips. That Acer that we're hopefully going to pull the screen out of has to be unscrewed. So, for example, you can kind of find a spot to. This needs to be a very thin tool, and kind of work it in there. And then it'll unclip. Of course, around the camera lens, be careful that you don't do what I just did and break the. Well, I don't think I broke it, but you could potentially break the camera lens by getting too close. And as usual, our cameraman today is DanBomb321, my brother. So you can see now we're accessing these screws. What do I do with these? I don't have great tools, and majority of my screw containers are just filled up with crap, so I'm just going to use these, improvise and use these bottle caps.
There's so much going on in the background, the camera doesn't know what to focus on.
Sounds about right. Just like with my headphone repair video. That is hopefully going to be able to be recovered and re-uploaded.
Yeah, well, I assume so.
So we've got two screws up top here. On either side there's one screw. Try not to lose these because they're itty bitty tiny screws. And then I don't know if you can get close in on this, but there's screws alongside here too that once we get this loose we'll have to undo.
My camera really doesn't want to focus today. What is wrong with you?
I have actually replaced the display on this before, so hopefully this will be fairly straightforward. Unfortunately, the current display on it had been cracked. I don't even know how, actually, to tell you guys the truth. But I turned it on today, and it's no longer working. So we're going to swap it out, hopefully. And otherwise, the reason why the display's been swapped before is because I had purchased this laptop and a lot of many others, and they were all broken down or busted. I was using some for parts and using some to repair. Like this one I repaired actually for myself before I got my Acer Nitro 5. I still use it though because it's got an optical drive. See, this should just come loose now. And let me move this little cup with the screws here, because I'm going to have to turn this around on the table a bit so you guys can see what's going on back here. Alright, so you can see here we've got a cable that we need to undo from the camera. And this should just fall back nicely enough. And before we undo this lead way down here, we're going to undo the side screws. That's securing the panel to the hinges. I find that it's easier to disattach this plastic to get to these screws, which is why we've done it this way. My hands aren't in the way too much, are they?
No.
Okay. So we've got one screw here and one screw there. Some models may vary in how many screws are there. I've seen them with 4. I believe that Acer does have 4. So we might have a few extra screws to work with if we lose one of these by accident, but still let's cross our fingers that we won't, because it's always a pain. So what I'm doing over here is the same thing. There's just 2 screws, and after that it should come undone. Now be prepared for this panel to fall loose. So I've got my hand kind of gripped on it while also trying not to lose the screw. Now, of course, we don't care about this old display, so I can just set it down on the keyboard. Under normal circumstances, you might want to put something, cloth or something underneath the on the palm rest and underneath the screen if it was a good screen that you were removing or putting in. But I'm putting in a used one, so I'm not terribly worried because it's going to be pretty scratched anyway. Plus this one's bad here. So that just unplugs like that. I'll probably want to put some tape on there. I'm surprised I didn't do that when I installed this panel. Okay, so for now we're gonna kind of put this out of the way because we've got another computer to take apart. And if you were to buy your panel off of eBay or Amazon or something, you wouldn't have to do this step of pulling it out of another computer, but I just have this computer handy and hopefully it's got the same plug. We'll verify that when I connect the screen. You can see I've had this panel off before because I was in the past doing work to the camera lens. So the screws are not covered anymore, but oftentimes you might want to look for something that look like a cutout that's covering the screws. Here we go. Because that's what I had to do. I had to kind of pull them out, and then I never put them back in because I wrecked them when pulling them out. But I don't believe there's any screws up top of this monitor, if I recall from previous history. So that should be all of it for now, those two screws. And we should be able to just unclip the panel here, just like we did with the Dell. The screws and this one. So unlike the Dell, these ones are easier to get to with the screwdriver. So I'm gonna just back them out and pull it loose from the hinges. The original one. Now you can see those ports look the same, but the true test will be putting it in. As you can see, the displays are the same size, so that's a good start. And of course, a few words about doing such things like this. If you're new to it, these screens, especially the circuit board area, are very sensitive, so try to not put too much pressure on one side or the other when handling it. Oh. That's apparently broken loose. That shouldn't be too big of a deal once it's all screwed back together, though. To give some background history of this laptop in particular, this is an old Dell Inspiron, obviously. I believe it's 12 years old. It's running Windows 10 now. It used to be running 7. And I believe, I don't know the full history of it, but I believe it, judging by the water damage extent to the insides and ports, rust all over it, I believe this actually went through a flood because there was mud inside of it. So you can see how I just plugged that in. It's just kind of a slide in. Yeah, so generally that can be hard or easy depending on how shaky your hands are at the time. My hands, thankfully, were not very shaky. Just reapply that tape there that I had on the other display. I meant I had on the other cable. This is the same display, of course. Now, I haven't done it this way before, but I wonder if it would be any easier to, yeah, that might be easier to fold down the hinges. Kind of gotta get stuff aligned, though. That's the only trick. Because generally, otherwise, you'd be screwing it up in the air and having to hold it, too. So we're going to see if this works. If this does not work, we'll do it the typically normal way. We're just going to experiment today, though. So I think I do have to. Okay, I think I do have to hold the display up a bit. Yeah. Or I could push the hinge down very gently. So you can see I'm just trying to screw a screw in. So there should be threads on the side of the display that it'll match up with. There we go. There's one. Big shout out to my big shout out to my patient cameraman. Go subscribe to his channel. Okay, I've got another screw that I'm sure will work. I just lost one, but because I pulled this screen out of another computer, I should have extras. That's why I am giving emphasis on being careful, though, because chances are, if you're the average Joe doing this at home, you won't have a ton of different computers to pull a screen out of. So chances are you won't have extra screws unless you're like me and have hordes of computers lying around. So, and unfortunately, these screws are very easy to lose. So one of my recommendations is maybe putting a magnet on the side of your screwdriver. If it's not very good magnetic, you could actually make it magnetic just by putting a magnet, a rather powerful magnet, on the side of it. Alright, we're almost done here. We just kind of have to gently lift. Dino's going to hold that. Just have to gently, evenly lift up on that so we don't crack the panel. So that completely would defeat what we're doing here. Just got to line up these screw holes. And of course, before I forget, plug back in this camera. I'd wonder why my camera isn't working. That's not always the easiest connector to get in. Might be helpful to have like tweezers or something. But I didn't bring any out here, so I'm not going to go grab some. There we go. I think that's in. If Windows tells me that's not working, it's easy enough to get back in here. Oh my word, I almost just dumped all these screws. That would have been fun. Fun to pick them all up out of the carpet. So then first we have to locate them. Oh, should have saw that coming. I didn't break the, Oh, come on. Okay, we're going to make sure that that's still connected down there. Yeah, don't be a stupid, clumsy oaf like me and nearly break your replacement panel. Just a word of advice. Now, I do believe this camera lens is just secured on with tape or glue or something, so you could potentially pull it off to plug that back in, but I wouldn't advise doing that because it's on such a very thin board. You could very easily just snap it in half if you're not careful. Don't ask me how I know that. So I'm just screwing back in the top screws, and then we've got two at the either side of the bottom. We've got one on either side at the top. Why does that not feel like it's tightening down? Oh yeah, there we go. So now we got this one, that one, and that one. There we go. I can feel it falling into place. Now I feel confident that I can tighten up all these other ones again. Okay, now we just have the simple step of figuring out where the hell I put this and then popping this back on. For a minute I didn't know where I put it. So that should just snap right back on easily enough. Now let's test it and then I'll wrap up the video. Where have I put my cord? Ah yes, it's over here. So here we go. Okay, fingers crossed. We're gonna get well, the battery's not plugged in, so we won't probably get that error. There we go, and that is how you replace a screen on your Dell Inspiron laptop. Similar jobs will apply to most of them, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.